prepare to enter a realm where language transcends the ordinary and the boundaries of expression are shattered. In this chilling exploration, we dare to venture into the enigmatic world of prophetic language with the sun, moon, and stars. Let us begin with the story of Joseph in the book of Genesis 37:9-10, where we encounter an intriguing example of prophetic hyperbolic language. Behold, I dreamed a dream again, and behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me. And he told it to his father and to his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said to him, What is this dream that you have dreamed? Will I and your mother and your brothers indeed come to bow down to the ground to you? This language within Joseph's dream serves as a prophetic foreshadowing. The exaggerated imagery emphasizes Joseph's future exaltation and the eventual submission of his brothers. It symbolizes God's plan unfolding and the fulfillment of his purpose, highlighting the significance of Joseph's role in the narrative. Looking at the book of Isaiah, we encounter another striking example of prophetic hyperbolic language in Isaiah 13:10. The prophet declares, For the stars of heaven and their constellations will not give their light. The sun will be darkened in its going forth, and the moon will not cause its light to shine. Ezekiel's vision also uses the same narrative when prophesying the destruction of Egypt by Babylon in approximately 580 BC. And I will cover you at extinguishing your heavens, and I will make dark their stars, and I will cover the sun with the cloud, and the moon will not give its light. All sources of light in the heavens, I will make them dark over you, and I will put darkness on your land, declares the Lord Yahweh. And I will disturb the hearts of many peoples at my bringing about your captivity among the nations to countries that you do not know. Furthermore, Isaiah 24:21-23 reads, On that day the Lord will punish the host of heaven in heaven and the kings of the earth on the earth. They will be gathered together as prisoners in a pit. They will be shut up in a prison, and after many days they will be punished. Then the moon will be confounded and the sun ashamed. It would appear we are beginning to see a theme running through Scripture about the sun, moon, and stars. Are they an example of poetic metaphor, or are they literal? N.T. Wright says, Within the mainline Jewish writings of this period, covering a wide range of styles, genres, political persuasions, and theological perspectives, there is virtually no evidence that Jews were expecting the end of the space-time universe. There is abundant evidence that they, like Jeremiah and others before them, knew a good metaphor when they saw one and used cosmic imagery to bring out the full theological significance of cataclysmic socio-political events. In the book of Joel 2:10, we encounter yet another powerful example of metaphorical language. Joel prophesies about a day of the Lord, describing it as a time of darkness, gloom, and impending disaster. He states, The earth quakes before them, the heavens tremble, the sun and the moon grow dark, and the stars diminish their brightness. Commentator Douglas Stewart concluded, the words of the book would likely have been spoken on one of these occasions: the Assyrian invasion of 701 BC, the Babylonian invasion of 598, or the Babylonian invasion of 588. The invasion and exile of Israel in the 7th or 8th centuries BC was the day of the Lord in Joel, not a future end of the world. Turning our attention to the New Testament, we find Jesus using the same type of language in Matthew 24:29. Jesus describes the events that will precede his coming, stating, Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Why does Jesus use this type of language? We have seen through the Old Testament how the use of sun, moon, and stars were signs of a destruction of nations, but not a cataclysmic destruction of a physical world. It is interesting to note that through the world, almost every nation has a symbol on their flag of a sun, a moon, or star to represent them. Is this language a type of metaphor or hyperbolic language to express the destruction of a power or nation? In Brian Godawa's book, End Times Bible Prophecy P55, he says, God used these same terms of a collapsing universe to describe the destruction of Babylon by the Medes in 539 BC. If a nation's covenant order is like the heavens and the earth, their destruction is like the destruction of the heavens and the earth. These cosmic catastrophes were not literal. When the Medes overran Babylon as this prophecy predicted, the sun, moon, and stars did not go dark. If the sun went dark, the entire solar system would have been destroyed. Sun, moon, and stars are not merely creation metaphors. They are also symbols of the spiritual power and authority behind earthly rulers.
Now, part of the difficulty here is that some of the passages in the Gospels, which have traditionally been taken as predictions of Jesus coming back after a long period, are not, in fact. They are predictions of the fall of Jerusalem. In Mark 13, for instance, in the parallel passages, it doesn't begin with the disciples saying, "When are you coming back?" It begins with Jesus saying, "All this stuff's going to come crashing down," and the disciples saying, "When? When will that be?" The difficulty is that the language which they used to describe events like that was what some people have sometimes called apocalyptic language. That is to say, things like the sun will be turned into darkness and the moon will be turned into blood and the stars will be falling from heaven. Now, generations of Christians have thought that Jesus was predicting the end of the space-time universe. However, when you trace that language back into the Old Testament, and that bit about the sun and the moon and the stars comes from Isaiah 13, it isn't talking about the collapse of the space-time universe, it's talking about the fall of Babylon, which was the greatest empire of the day when that was written, or around the time that was written. Because when this huge empire, which has dominated the horizon, suddenly falls with a crash, what language are you going to use? What poetry can you use to signal that? And when it's Jerusalem, and if you're a Jew who believed that that was the city where God had promised eventually to come and live forever, if that falls with a crash and the temple is burnt to the ground, you're going to talk about the sun and the moon and the stars. I mean, even in our political discourse, we talk about landslides and earthquakes, and we all know that that's a metaphor. Well, they all knew that this language was a metaphor.
As we conclude this episode on prophetic hyperbolic language, we have witnessed the power of these vivid expressions to convey divine messages. Yet we have many more questions to uncover. If all these celestial bodies, such as sun, moon, and stars, are yet hyperbolic in nature and not necessarily physical, why do we have passages like 2 Peter 3 and 10 that tell us of a fire that will consume the world? Are these metaphorical or literal constructs? Stay with us as we unravel the mystery of these deeper questions in our next episode.